Welcome to our ecology class. Today we're going to be talking about biomes. So biomes are a community of organisms living together in a specific climate. So we're going to talk about 7 different biomes today. Okay, scholars, which biome would you prefer to live in?
As you can see, we're in a very cold biome. This is, in fact, our coldest biome, the tundra. Tundras range from about -40 to 65 degrees Fahrenheit at its warmest. So that makes it very, very cold all the time. It's pretty cold. Our precipitation is going to average between 6 to 10 inches a year, and as you'll see later, that's very similar to a desert. Sometimes tundras can be referred to as cold deserts because it gets so little precipitation. As you can also see from our landscape, we have little to no trees. So the word tundra actually comes from the Finnish word tuntria, which means treeless plain. So we don't get a lot of trees because we don't get a lot of precipitation. The types of plants we will find here are grasses, shrubs, and moss. A good example of a tundra is the Alaskan tundra, which is in North Alaska. We're going to find these tundra areas close to our poles because that gets the least amount of direct sunlight, making it cold all the time. And I'm actually really cold, so let's move on to the next biome. It's a lot warmer here. We are now in our shrubland. So shrubland's temperatures are hot and dry in the summer and cool and moist in the winter. So this makes it a little bit difficult for plants to grow in the summer, which is why we don't get tall plants in this area. For precipitation, we get between 8 and 40 inches a year, so it varies a lot. As far as plant life goes, you can see, given its name, there's a lot of shrubs. There's also grasses. But something interesting, especially if you like to cook, is our shrublands have a lot of herbs. So we have sage, thyme, oregano, all that grows in our shrublands. You typically find shrublands surrounding deserts. This is a good example of a Mediterranean shrubland. So everywhere around the Mediterranean Sea is considered shrubland, and that is a place I want to go. But as much as I'd love to stay here and get great herbs to make an amazing pizza, I think we should go to the next biome. We are now in one of my favorite biomes, the rainforest. We actually have 2 different types of rainforests. The first is a tropical rainforest. The second is a temperate rainforest. Right now, we are in a tropical rainforest. This is an island I used to live in the Caribbean. It's called Dominica, and it is very close to the equator. So our tropical rainforests are going to be really close to the equator. Our temperate rainforests aren't going to be as close to the equator. So a good example of a tropical rainforest is the Amazon, and then a good example of a temperate rainforest would be like Oregon or Washington, where it rains a lot and we have those plants, but it's not going to be as hot and as close to the equator. So our rainforest temperatures are going to range from about 68 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. So it's hot. It's hot all the time. In Dominica, it was hot even in the winter. We didn't really have a winter. It was just hot all the time. As far as precipitation goes, since it's a rainforest, it's going to rain a lot. It gets between 80 and 400 inches of rain every year. 400 inches of rain is a lot. The plants we're going to find here are going to be vines, palm trees, shrubs, and grasses. It's going to be our tropical foliage, as you can see behind me. And as much as it pains me to leave, it's about to start raining, so let's go to our next biome. We are now in the grasslands. So the grasslands have a temperature range between -4 and 86 degrees. So that's a wide range. Luckily, we came on a nice day and we just need a light sweater. As far as rain goes, we get between 20 to 35 inches of rain in this biome every year. So as far as plants go, and just looking at the name of this biome, it's pretty safe to say that grass grows in our grasslands. If you think about the Great Plains in America, that's going to be your grasslands. There is grass as far as the eye can see. Typically, the landscape is pretty flat and you just have grasses as far as you can see. Grasslands are found on every continent except for Antarctica. So we have a lot of grasslands around the world. And as fun as this landscape is, I'm ready for the next one. Ah, home sweet home. We are now in our desert biome. So in the desert, our temperatures are going to range between 25 and 100 degrees. This is our hottest biome. But as you can see from the 25 degrees Fahrenheit, it can get quite cold at night, especially during the winter, and it can go below freezing. So we do get our roads frozen over sometimes when there's rain, and then it gets really cold at night. So watch out for that. As far as rain goes, you get about 10 inches a year, sometimes less, especially if we're in a drought. So because we don't get a lot of rain, our plant life is unique. So we have a lot of cactus, we have some grasses, some shrubs, and our cactus are adapted to the lack of water and to the warm temperatures. So if you think about a saguaro cactus, it has those grooves in it. That's because it can shade itself with those grooves and it has less direct sunlight, which helps it retain more water. So we find most of our deserts between 15 and 35 degrees latitude. If you look at a map, you can see that distinction, and I'll put that in the next slide over after this biome. And most of our deserts are found in this area. So some good examples of desert biomes are the Sahara Desert, and of course in Arizona, the Sonoran Desert. So the Sonoran Desert has our distinctive saguaro cactuses, and other deserts don't really have that. So that's something that's really unique to us. All right, it's a really hot day. We're pushing 100 degrees, so let's go to the next one. We are now in a deciduous temperate forest. So in these forests, our temperatures are going to range from about 22 to 86 degrees Fahrenheit. Our average day is going to be about 50 degrees. So it's pretty nice, a little chilly, but not as cold as a tundra, not as hot as a desert. I can deal with that. As far as rainfall goes, we get between 30 to 60 inches of rain every year in this biome. That amount of rain allows trees to grow in this area, as you can see. So our trees are going to be like maples, oaks, beech trees. We'll also get some grasses, some shrub, mosses as well. And then we also in this area get perennial herbs. So once again, if you like cooking, you can find some herbs here about once a year. So a good example of our temperate forests are going to be places like Philadelphia, DC, New York, so closer to the eastern coast of the United States. And one distinguishable fact about these forests are that they have 4 distinct seasons. So we get a good winter, spring, summer, and fall every single year. So, I mean, if you like snow and you like it a little warm in the summer, here's a good place to live. Since we started in the cold, it only made sense to end in the cold. We are now at our last biome. This behind us is a coniferous forest. So these biomes, the temperatures are going to range from between -40 and about 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a huge range, which means our summers are going to be pretty warm and our winters are going to be pretty cold. We had the honor of visiting during the winter, so you can see the snow behind us. As far as precipitation goes, we're going to get between 12 and 35 inches of precipitation every year. So that is enough to sustain tree growth. So our key vegetation in this area are going to be coniferous evergreen trees. These trees have pines and they have cones. So that's our key feature in this biome. You can find these biomes in high latitudes. So this behind us is Williams, Arizona. So if you go to higher elevations in Arizona, you can actually go from a desert to a coniferous forest in a matter of 2 hours. So you can find these anywhere you see pine trees, you are probably in a coniferous forest. So let's get out of the cold and let's meet back in the classroom.
I'm glad to be back in the classroom where it's not so cold. So today we talked about 7 different biomes. We had the tundra, which was our coldest. The desert was our hottest. Both of them had very similar rainfall, so both biomes don't get a lot of rain. We then have our shrubland, which primarily surrounds our deserts. And then we had 3 different types of forests. We had our rainforests, we had our coniferous forests, and then we had our deciduous temperate forests. So at the beginning of this, I asked you, which one would you want to live in? So right now I want you to think about it. You know 7 biomes. Which one would you prefer to live in? Let me know, and I'll see you guys next week as we talk about more biology.